My mother was Meta Ehlers. She married Detlef Bergert, and she had 8 children. One died, who was probably 6 months old, and so I am the youngest of Detlef and Meta's.
Okay. And Meta was Carl and Christine's daughter.
She was Meta Ehlers, and she was I think she was the youngest or the oldest of the Ehlers family.
Of all of the girls?
I
They're all
think
the
she
kids.
was.
Okay.
And Louise may have been older, but I don't think so. I think my mother, Maida, was the oldest.
Okay. All right, Darlene, can you tell us how you're related to the Carl
Well,
and
my
Christine?
mother was Helen Ehlers, and she was the youngest child of Carlin and Christine.
Okay. Was she born in this house?
Yes, she was. Mhm.
Okay. And how long did she live here growing up? Her whole life?
I think that she and my dad, Fred Wessell, got married in about in the 1920s. And so she would have been a young woman before she got married. And so she lived here quite a long time, probably
Right.
till she was 22, 23,
Right.
something like that.
Right.
Because they waited quite a while to get married until my dad got out of service, and they had to get some money together
Right.
in order to establish a household.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about your grandmother, what she was like, and what it was like to come and visit the house?
She was a real nice lady, and she was very fussy about how her hair looked.
Oh, really?
I remember my sister saying, "Grandma," and she had of course, it was piled up in there on her head, and it was just perfect. And I think her daughters were fussy about their hairdos too.
Oh, I didn't know
They
that.
were. A lady told my sister that they were envious of the Ehlers girls because they could fix their hair so pretty.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah. Well, I remember that when I was a little girl, we lived outside of Eldridge, but I would come to visit. I would have to come to visit for a few days. And it was very lonely here. It was very quiet. A big excitement would be if a car came up, to the blacksmith shop and you could see the car coming and so on. So it was lonesome. But she was a very kind person, and I remember that my mother would come and bring things from the farm, perhaps chickens or eggs or vegetables from the garden to help Christine out, because she had absolutely no form of income at
Right.
all. So her sons and her daughters took care of her that way.
Right.
And then I also remember that the building outside here was called the summer kitchen.
Right.
And that's where they would cook, and she'd can there because it was supposed to be a little cooler out there.
Right.
And then she'd also do her washing outside. The washing machine would sit outside, and she would, crank that washer and do her washing there.
Do you remember, I think you, Carma, were telling us that Grandma used to have a glider rocker here by the stove.
Right there. Grammar. You're a rocking chair.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? You mentioned she liked to sit.
I do. Well, she had it, but I thought it was so cool because it didn't move along the floor. It just went back and forward. And that's where she sat.
I think she liked to see the people as they came up to the blacksmith shop.
You were also telling us before we started about your mother, a couple of your mother's memories of this house. Can
Yes,
you
I
share
do.
those
I
again?
remember before she was able to go to school, she would wait for her brothers to come out of the school. And by doing that, she would kind of lay down on the floor and kind of look under a crack there to wait for them to come home from school. And she loved school. She just couldn't wait to get there. And I think she was really a good student, too.
Now, with the kids, did they went to the school that's right here on our
Right
property?
here, yes.
Yeah. So she didn't have far to go to school.
She didn't have far to go. I bet they came home for lunch. That's something I do remember, that Uncle Alfred used to come in the morning, in the middle of the morning, and have a cup of coffee with his mother.
Yeah.
That was kind of a little tradition that they had. My Uncle Alfred was my favorite uncle, and I know that I went out to the blacksmith shop because I just liked the smell of it, and he'd be so busy standing there at the anvil, and it was really wonderful to see doing the anvil and the pounding and all of that. And I loved him, and I think he liked me pretty much too.
We were here one Christmas on a Christmas day because I remember my dad was still alive, and he died when I was 6.
Yeah.
But I know we had what they call a grad bag, and everybody had a number, and I remember I got this beret, but it was too big.
Oh.
And I had that darn thing for so long.
Were you waiting for your head to grow into it?
You took what you got. You never, and it was Christmas Day. That's the
Yeah.
only time I ever remember of spending with the Ehlers with
Yeah.
Christmas.
Oh, Aunt Mill was a good cook. I remember that, and it was always kind of a treat to get invited over there for a meal. And evidently she had a niece or something that would come once in a while, and then I would get invited. And she would have her dining room set up with very nice dishes and things for this other little girl and I too.
Oh, was
to
the little
have
girl
lunch.
your age? Or-
Yes,
Yeah.
kind of my age. But if I was here at Grandma's and the little girl was over at Aunt Mill's, I could not go over there unless Aunt Mill invited me.
Oh, really?
Because we didn't want to bother her.
Oh.
That was the
Oh yeah,
thought at that time.
she was
you
kind
know.
of she was educated, and I suppose they thought she was, I don't know, but
Well, I think that was just the time, you know. You
Yeah.
just didn't run around and play with everybody like you do now. you
Yeah.
know.
oh yeah. We had to sing for Grandma.
Uh-huh.
And my
sing.
brother, he didn't. But I can remember Harlow and we had to drink. We had to sing for. And the one song I can remember is "Sweet Sue, Just You."
Oh.
That's one. But and so she thought we was pretty good.
Oh, and
I just reminded
that
that.
reminded me of Grandma used to sing to me.
Uh-huh.
And the song, let's see, School Days. School
Yeah.
days. I can't sing. But school days, good old golden rule days. Reading and writing and arithmetic, taught to the tune of a hickory stick. Yeah, I was your sweetheart or something like that.
Yeah.
But I still remember that. And I've been told that they would take a coat maybe that had belonged to Alfred's wife, Mildred, and cut that down and make a little coat for me out of that.
Yeah.
That was something they did. And then Aunt Louise used to take a newspaper and cut a pattern out of it. She was very, very good at sewing.
Right. Did Louise and your grandmother get along pretty well? Were they pretty happy?
Well, you know, I hope that they did. Louise was a little sharp. We were all just a little in awe of her when we were little and came here. And Carma and I were talking because I asked her if she remembered there being a closet in here, and she didn't. But what I remember is that Aunt Lou would say, "If you don't behave, the hoogapook will come out of the closet," and you know, it scared us half to death. So the hoogapook, I don't know whether she made that word up or not, but
She must
she
have.
remembers it. She remembers it.
But I still use the word. I'll make it when I'm making a joke about your kids not behaving. I'll say the hookapoo. Uncle Alfred.
Alfred.
I would brag about him because there he was, this blacksmith, and when he'd get dressed up, I'd say, well, you could take him for a banker. Because he was the other, the Aunt Hertha in the men.
Yes,
Yes,
was he?
he always looked nice.